Hello, welcome to Sound and Fairy Book Reviews. As usual, I am Tina. Today I'm doing a book review of This May Be the Year by Carole Giangrande. I apologize if I'm saying that wrong. This is a book that came out in August 2025 from Inanna Publications. It's a poetry collection. Look at the pretty cover. I love the bird. I received this book from River Street Writing in exchange for a fair review. Yes, another poetry collection this year. This one is focused on the juxtaposition of life in the form of birds and death in a very human fashion, and the meaning that we derive from both of these things and all of these things that surround us. So, what is it about? These insightful poems invite the reader to reflect on the bond of animal and human life, both the shadows that trouble it and the hope that emerges in its presence. It begins with explorations of the natural world, moving into the equally natural place of human loss and present events that haunt us. Finally, the poems enter the fears and concerns of our moment, the destruction of nature, war and violence, returning once again to life and hope as the unexplainable gifts that nature gives. As usual with poetry, this is going to be probably a short review unless I ramble. If you do pick up this book, I highly recommend you read it outside. I did read it outside. I was sitting on a lovely park bench. The only problem was that I was reading it at a park, with a playground. So I had a bunch of rowdy 4 and 5-year-olds on one side. Yes, I was in charge of 4 children. I took my kids and the neighbors' kids to the park on my lonesome. In all fairness, my partner was helping the other neighbors on the other side build a Halloween tunnel. And then the parents of the kids that I took had watched my kids all morning. So it was my turn. So they were screeching and causing a ruckus on one side. And then on the other side, there was 2 baseball tournaments happening. So in the brief moments where I wasn't interrupted by screeching or cheering or some kid screaming that my daughter had hit him with a stick, it was really nice to read this book outside while actual birds were chirping and I could kind of look at the trees. It was a perfect day too, sunshine. It was a lovely day. Unless I was reading too much into it, the book seemed to be separated by seasons, as in 4 parts, but those seasons also corresponded to various themes of the poems. In a way, the book has a real sense of flow. Unlike some poetry where the poems are just kind of like willingly thrown in there, this one seemed to be deliberately organized, and I actually really liked that because it helped give kind of a sense of continuity across all of the work. The poems are all quite short, which I prefer, and they're very vivid in their imagery. There were some that had an almost kind of religious feel to them, which I wasn't as into, but the ones about nature were just lovely. Like most collections, I have my favorites. There were 5 I circled in the table of contents to go back to. They were called Judson, Hermit Thrush, Beloved, Anniversary, and Buried City, all of which spoke to me on some level. The poems aren't all the same tone or have the same purpose. Anniversary is a very lovely, sweet poem about growing old, like with the person you love, where Buried City is rich in concept and Hermit Thrush has just great imagery. Unlike some collections that are all about one thing or convey one emotion, this collection surprises you because you could have a really lovely kind of heartfelt poem in one, and then the next one could be kind of like a critique, and the next one could be like about something very serious and kind of like world-reaching. It's just a really good collection in that way. Shall I read you one? I love reading poetry, and this will give you a great feel for these poems in the hopes that you'll go and check out the whole collection. Thank you so much to the publisher and River Street for the review copy. Did I mention how pretty the cover is? I think I did. I love that bird. I want it in my life. I've, in my old age now, I have started wondering about birds and putting out bird feeders in my backyard. Yeah. Anyway, here's one of the poems from the collection, and again, I hope this will inspire you to pick up the book. So, Judson. Eyes wide with daybreak, he lands in an oak perplexed. All this greenery. He has fled the building's ledge. He is not in the nest anymore. Gone is the glass where he gazed into his own reflection, until, sensing his escape was skyward, he fled into the fearsome blue of his own eyes, the true mirror of who he was. He's left that small comfort, lifted his feathers to the nudge of wind, and now, talons fixed to a slight branch, he tries to make his curious way beyond his window twin, beyond what he knows of himself. He's hesitant, afraid for the first time of the rustle of green, a bough's snap, the weight of knowing that he's not yet free, that in time he'll fly from the memory of his reflection, toward whatever love in this world will hold him. It's so nice. Anyway, thank you.